Hello everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. The mid-season patch for Year 9 Season 4 has just been released. We're seeing a BOSG nerf, a Kapkan nerf, a Legion nerf, a Buck nerf. There's also some buffs to people like Sledge, Ash and Ayanna, so let's get into it right now. I wasn't expecting this much to come in the mid-season patch. Like, this is a lot to happen in one mid-season patch. So I'm quite excited about some of these, disappointed with some, excited for the others. So let's get into it. So I think the biggest W for the community is the nerf of the BOSG. I know a lot of people have found the BOSG frustrating, and I can confirm that it is getting nerfed, and this is how. The damage drop-off will now start at 15 meters, which is reduced down from 25 meters. The damage drop-off end is reduced to 25 meters, down from 35 meters. The damage at maximum range is now 60% instead of 70%, and the destruction range is also reduced. Weapons affected by this will be the ACS-12, the BOSG, the TSG, but I'll go into the TSG shortly in this video, as although it's being affected, it's also being buffed. And then the 44 Vendetta, which is Deimos's pistol. I am personally really happy to see the drop-off range decrease with the BOSG, as I think that's my biggest frustration with the BOSG. It's not the fact that the weapon can one-shot somebody, it's how far away it could one-shot somebody. So I welcome this change with open arms. One of the nerfs that is happening is with Buck, and I think this is quite a controversial decision personally. Buck is losing the hard breach gadgets, and they are being replaced with claymores. Now, I'm pretty sure when I first started playing this game, Buck had the option of claymores and grenades. I could be wrong on that because this is a few years ago. But he then got the hard breach gadgets, and that made Buck one of the best attackers in the game, as he could go below, use his ability, and then use his hard breach gadgets to get up a wall. Now, hard breach gadgets are great, but they don't open massive holes. They are very easy to counter, for example, because they're slow also. I personally do not believe that Buck was strong enough or too strong where it warrants him to receive this nerf. Now, this is my personal opinion, but when I think of OP attackers, I think of Dokkaebi. I think Ash is very strong, can do a lot of stuff, but I don't think she's OP. I don't think Buck needed this change, but my assumption as to why they've brought in this change, personally, is because they released Striker, and Striker is a one-woman army. She can get a hard breach open or a denied hard wall all by herself by bringing the pocket EMPs and the hard breach gadget. I assume, and this is just an assumption, that if Striker didn't exist, they would not be making this change, but they don't want too many people on attack to be able to solo get a wall open, because Zero in some circumstances can too. Kapkan is also receiving a nerf, and this one hurts my heart, mainly because I loved Kapkan's impacts as I roam with him. He then lost his impact nades, so I used to rely on his C4 for... To be fair, people will probably shout at me for this, but if I was ever desperate for a rotate, I would use my C4 in desperate situations. Well, he's now lost his C4 and he gets barbed wire instead, and I am personally disappointed with this because of how I play Kapkan, but I also do understand why he's losing his C4. I did used to wonder why Kapkan had a C4 after his buff where he can put multiple on a single door or window. He can already do so much destruction for eliminations with his ability, so it didn't make sense to have a C4, so I do get it, but I will miss it. Ayanna and Ash are somewhat receiving a buff too. The G36C, the recoil both horizontally and vertically is being reduced, so it should be a lot easier for people to control. I know a lot of people, especially on PC, will say it's not that bad. At least that's what I see in my TikTok comments anyway. But I do not see the G36C brought on console at all anymore. So it now should be easier to control, and it should fix that issue. I still don't think people are going to bring Ayanna that much, but I do think this will now increase her pick rate. Ram is losing her secondary shotgun. I feel like I don't really need to explain that. She can already do so much vertical play with her ability. I always wondered when Ram came out, why does she have a secondary shotgun? She absolutely did not need it. So it makes sense for her to lose it, and I'm not going to complain that she has lost it. Again, I will miss it, but she definitely doesn't need it. I made a video the other day saying that Orix is probably likely one of the operators to get a remaster in year 10 because Orix on paper is great, but Orix in game is terrible. And he's actually getting a buff. Now, I do not think this buff is going to fix the issue of Orix in any way, but let's talk about the buff. So whenever Orix used to use his dash, it always leaves him vulnerable and it always gives attackers a long more than enough time to eliminate him, and so it's then a detriment for Orix to actually use his ability. So they're trying to prevent this from happening. So now when he dashes, his weapon recovery time, if he doesn't go into an object, will be 0.2 seconds instead of 0.5. So it's over double as quick. Weapon recovery time, if he bashes against a wall, will be 0.3 from 0.5. But if he dashes into an enemy, the recovery time is now only 0.1 seconds, reduced from 0.5, which means if Orix ever bashes an enemy, he will recover quicker than them every single time. I personally do not think this fixes the fundamental issue of Orix and his ability, as is very, very rare circumstances he actually gets close enough to dash an enemy, and the dashing is still so jagged and really unreliable that I still wouldn't risk dashing with him personally if I was in a ranked game. Am I going to try this in standard and quick match all of the time? Absolutely. Would I ever do it in ranked? No, I still would not do it in ranked, which means that it still doesn't really fix the issue of Orix in my opinion. Legion is also facing a nerf in this mid-season patch. It is not that bad though, so this is all good. As someone who loves to play Legion, he is losing 1 goo mine. So if you are alive for the whole round right now, you will accumulate 9 goo mines. That will now be reduced to 8, and the time it takes to recharge will go from 25 seconds to 30 seconds. I guess I've kind of saved the best till last. Sledge is finally being buffed. After every update where he was simply just nerf after nerf, Sledge is finally being reverted back to a 2-2. He will no longer be a 3 armor 1 speed. He's going to be a 2 armor 2 speed. And I am praying that Zofia gets this too. I really hope that now Sledge has got this, Zofia will get it too. The TCSG-12, which is both Kaid's and Goyo's shotgun, because that will be affected by the nerf that the BOSG is facing, because all slug shotguns are facing that nerf. They have buffed it, so it will now go from 63 damage to 75 damage, which means up close that should two-shot any operator. I believe that is all of the buffs and nerfs coming in the mid-season patch, and that is also everything coming in the mid-season patch. I do have bad news. Native M&K is not coming. They've not mentioned it anywhere, and so I feel like when that comes, if that comes, that's going to come now in year 10. They did announce it at the beginning of year 9 season 4. That's why we all assumed that it was coming this season, but they haven't mentioned it. They haven't announced it, so I will assume or feel like it's safe to assume that is not coming tomorrow. And I say tomorrow, again, I assume the mid-season update will be tomorrow, or if it's not tomorrow, it'll be Thursday. But yes, there you go. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I've never posted a YouTube video so quick after the news dropping. I hope that this was okay. If you want me to do it differently in the future, please let me know. If you don't already subscribe, I would really appreciate it if you do watch my content. I'm trying really hard to get partners on YouTube at the moment, but I hope you'll have a good day. Let me know your opinions below about these changes, and also if you are hoping to see something else. I kind of hope we see a Dokkaebi nerf going into year 10. I didn't think it would come in a mid-season patch because I think it's going to be quite a significant change. Maybe even a remaster, but we'll see. Have a good day. Goodbye all.